And we're coming to you live for the Built Ford Tough Studio. Boomer Esiason, Greg Giannotti. It's Boomer and Gio on the Fan. Simulcast across the country on CBS Sports Network. And wherever you are on the free Odyssey app, good Friday morning. A feel-good summer Friday. A beautiful day. Summer conditions out there. And we got good news and we got bad news this morning with the Yankees. Good news is that they never lose to the Minnesota Twins, and last night was no different. Bad news is that Juan Soto exits after the rain delay and talks about this forearm discomfort that he has had now for a few weeks that he has been playing through. So, it's always one of these things that crops up with the New York team, it feels like, no matter who they are. But there is some good news, I do believe, even if it's the worst-case scenario. And all you have to do is look back to Bryce Harper a couple of years ago. I'll explain that as we get going on this feel-good summer Friday. Good morning, Boomer. How are you?
Yeah, good morning, G. I'm doing well. Yeah, I saw this last night, and I was a little worried about Juan Soto coming out of the rain delay, not on the field, and them trying to explain his forearm discomfort. You know, he threw one. I think he threw one ball from right field to second base. Looked like he really let it go, and maybe that's what initiated more pain or whatever the situation is. But make him a DH. You don't have to put him on the field. He can hit, and the Dodgers are in town. He's not missing this series. I don't. There's no way, unless they say they come out and they put him on like the 15-day DL for forearm discomfort. My forearm was killing me. Pretty much coming out of every training camp I was ever a part of, whether it be East Islip, Maryland, Cincinnati, the Jets, or the Cardinals. Every single year, my arm was killing me.
And your forearm specifically?
Yeah, right in here, like right in here,
And it never turned out to be a UCL or a Tommy John situation?
Hell no. And he's a right fielder. He's not a pitcher. So I understand. It's different. It's 162 games, and things happen.
It's also 2024 where everybody gets hurt.
Well, you get a tick here and a tick there. Like, you came in the other day, and you said you had a
knot.
Well, so it was not. You had neck spasms. That's neck spasms.
Oh, that's what that was?
That's what that was. And, what did I do? I took care of it.
You did. You rubbed my knot out. Well, you did. That's exactly what you did.
Yeah, I got in there and got the knot out of there. And your neck was spasming. And so imagine you wake up one day, you have that neck spasm, and you have to play a Major League Baseball game. Not easy. Or, an NFL game or an NHL game or an NBA game.
Yeah.
Any of that stuff.
Sure.
So I can understand being a little bit sore. I mean, everybody is sore right now. Everybody's playing. They're in the middle of their season. And, you get hit by a baseball. You pull a little bit of a hamstring. You may hurt your foot running the bases. I mean, it's all little ticky-tack stuff. And hopefully there's no structural damage, and it's just fatigue and discomfort.
Right, fatigue and discomfort. And if it's that, then sure, he'll be a DH, and they'll throw him in the lineup. And missing this Dodger series would suck, and I don't believe that he will. But let's just say for poops and giggles, this is the worst-case scenario, and he ends up having a torn ligament like Bryce Harper did in 2022, and he ended up partially tearing his UCL, needed to have Tommy John surgery. They waited until after the season, and he played through it. Now, he had a long stint on the IL in 2022, and I went back and looked at it, and it wasn't the elbow was not the reason why. He got hit in the hand and broke his thumb that year, and then that's why he had the long stint on the IL. But he played through and was the DH for the Phillies with that issue in his elbow. So let's just say they come back with imaging and says he's got a partially torn or fully torn UCL. You're just not going to see him in the outfield, Juan Soto. He's going to be the DH for the rest of the year, and he'll be fine.
Yeah.
He'll be able to hit. And he even said last night, when he's throwing and when he's hitting, he doesn't feel the thing. It's just when he does everything else, it bothers him. So he hasn't been affected by it on the baseball field at all.
I mean, throwing and hitting are the two most important things he does.
Yes.
What else do you do that, it's bothering you?
No. But my point is that that is a good sign. Like when he's sitting around, it's like, man, this hurts. But when he's out, when he's up, he's throwing the ball, he's not like grimacing. So I do think that's a good sign.
So maybe it's just a strain, and he's going to be okay, and he'll play tonight.
I hope so.
And
you can't blame any New York fan or New York Yankee fan or anybody that's watching this team for having some like real fear about this after everything we have gone through injury-wise in this town over the last few years. I mean, the Yankee fans saw it up close and personal last year with Aaron Judge. We just went through it with the New York Knicks, everybody getting hurt. The Rangers had guys playing through injuries that probably hurt their chances of beating the Panthers. The Jets with Aaron Rodgers. So when something like this happens, you're like, oh, my God, are you kidding me? Again, one of their best players is going to be out. And the bigger point is that it may be nothing, but even if it's the worst thing, he'll still probably play. So that's my Feel Good Friday take on Juan Soto.
Feel Good Friday would be the real Feel Good Friday take would be he's going to be in a lineup tonight. I mean, this is the weekend of all weekends, man. I heard John Flaherty talking about it last night because, I love John Flaherty.
You love John Flaherty.
I love me some John Flaherty. He
Yes.
was talking about all the TV trucks and everything out there outside of Yankee Stadium as if this weekend is a precursor to the World Series and everybody wants to see the stars on hand. And believe you me, Juan Soto knows who's coming to town.
Yeah.
He knows who's coming to town. He's going to be out there. And, and it's going to be one of these. It's going to be like, he's going to fight through it.
Well, that's what he said. He's grinding through it.
He's going to fight through it, much like Jacob Trouba did, much like Ryan Lindgren did, much like Adam Fox did. You got to fight through it.
Yeah.
I mean, this is it. I mean,
Hopefully he'll fight through it better than those guys did.
You want $500 million in a contract?
Yeah.
Fight through it. That's all there is to it. Be there for the big times. Be there when your team needs you most. And they're going to need them. They're going to need all hands on deck, as they say, G,
Yeah. And
for this weekend series.
Right. And a couple things. One, it is a huge series. As much as the baseball regular season drags on and has so many boring moments and irrelevant moments, this is huge. What's going on this weekend, and Major League Baseball, who wants a lot of attention on these London games, also scheduled Yankees and Dodgers the same weekend, where everybody's going to be paying attention to that. And it is as big as it gets. It's the best of the best on display in a beautiful weekend here in New York, which is great. The other thing it is truly amazing, and we talk about these baseball injuries all the time. The two biggest free agents that the sport has ever seen. One last year, Shohei Ohtani, and then one this year in Juan Soto that's going to hit the market. Ohtani had to have Tommy John surgery in the offseason. And in Soto, there's a chance that he might have the same situation and having to have it in the offseason as well. And now, Ohtani got his money, deferrals, whatever. Soto, the same thing will happen. Obviously, it's different with Ohtani because he also pitched and Soto does not. But, I mean, when you wait and wait and wait and wait and wait, like Juan Soto has for free agency, and he always plays, for him to have an injury, hopefully it's nothing, but for him to have an injury in the year he goes into the offseason of free agency would be terrible timing for him.
You think Ohtani goes short porch in this
short
series?
Porch?
Yeah, definitely.
Probably at least once, right?
I think that you talk about these injuries and everything. So Ohtani is coming off of UCL surgery.
Yep.
So he's not pitching, but he is hitting.
He's hitting. Well, same thing with Bryce Harper. I
Right.
mean, and that's why I brought that up because, Ohtani, that was towards the end of last year, whereas the Harper thing happened during the year and he kept playing through it. So, and Ohtani came back and as DH, he's been fine, but Harper had that happen to him and he just kept playing and playing and playing and he was okay until he broke his thumb.
The amazing thing, you watch the replays of Ohtani, you don't realize how big he is. I mean, he's a big guy.
You just noticing this now?
No. I mean, I've always thought that. I've just never really verbalized it.
Yeah, big dude.
Really, I mean, he looks like a big dude. I mean, he is.
He's a big guy.
Very big guy.
Very, very large baseball
You know who
player.
else is a very large?
Who's a big guy?
You know who is a very large, thick guy, and when you watch him throughout the game that he plays in, and you're like, man, how does that guy do what he does at that size and thickness? Because, we always talk about thickness around here.
Yeah.
Luka Doncic.
Yeah.
That guy is thick, man.
He definitely is. And you're saying thick in a bad way or thick in an okay way?
No, I guess okay. I mean, he does what he does. He doesn't. I mean, to me, it doesn't even look like he's in shape. I know he is, but it doesn't look like it. It's a weird thing.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Thicker than a snicker.
Thick, double C thick.
Yeah.
Well, people used to say this about Jokic, too, is that he did not look like he was in any sort of shape and he was still dominating everybody. I don't know. There's something about both Luka and Jokic that they're these guys that may be a little thicker than the coaches may like, but they still get the job done. So
I don't
keep
know.
doing
The coach is not going to say anything. I mean, he's a great player and was a great player last night again, even though their team almost got steamrolled right out of Boston.
Which is embarrassing. So,
What?
I mean, this is the. I know, like, everybody will blame the NBA, and I guess I understand why, because they want to kick around the NBA for certain things. But, I mean, how can you, like, these blowouts that happen in their postseason are just, like, how does this
Boston
happen?
didn't miss a shot in the first half.
Yeah, I understand, but, like, it's like this game, what everybody's talking about, like, halftime, the broadcast at halftime, people were complaining about that because there was a gazillion commercials and, like, a minute worth of content. It's like, shut the game off at halftime. It was over.
Well, it really wasn't. I mean, Dallas got within 8 points.
Game was over.
They got within 8 points with about 6 minutes to go in the third quarter.
Wow. And then they ended up losing by what?
It was 107-89.
Okay.
So, 20?
It was over. So they got within 8 points in the third quarter. Well, what a nail-biter. Man, I'm surprised you're able to go to sleep. I mean, this was a pathetic game to kick off the NBA Finals and what should have been, and hopefully is at some point, an exciting series.
No, I mean, as a Knicks fan, watching Kristaps Porzingis dominate in the
Light it
first
up.
half.
Well, that's the guy that he played. That's the guy that he was earlier in the regular season for the Celtics before he got hurt. He was a huge piece for them getting to that record that they had. So I thought he'd be, a little rusty.
He couldn't.
Was not rusty
in the first half. He couldn't have been any better. And the interesting thing, like I always tell you, when there is a calf problem, and this is what the NBA has learned, and I think the NFL has learned it as well, and I'm sure other sports leagues, have a lot of conversation with those two leagues because it really is prevalent in both of the leagues. Anytime that there is some sort of calf strain, if you come back too early, it leads to a rupture of the Achilles. And that's exactly what Porzingis was dealing with. He had a calf strain. So they weren't going to put him out until they knew exactly that his calf was 100% and his Achilles was 100%, and they were not going to risk it. And quite frankly, what you see now is a guy that's got fresh legs, looks
Fresh
good.
legs. You love yourself some fresh legs.
Of course I love fresh legs.
Yeah, love fresh legs.
Who doesn't love fresh legs?
Yeah, I mean, people do. And people love a fresh leg player at this time of year.
All right, so Soto, in or out tonight in your eyes?
I think he's going to play, but I also think that
DH.
He's going to be – I would not be surprised if he doesn't play the field the rest of the year, which would be fine.
The rest of the year?
Yeah. I think that there's
give him
a chance.
2 weeks off. Give him some treatment. Let's go. Come on.
It could be. All right. You just said it. When you hear calf, you think Achilles.
Right.
You hear forearm with these guys.
You think elbow.
You think
elbow.
Tommy John.
Yeah,
specifically.
UCL. That's what you think.
You think UCL. So, and this is not in any way some sort of alarmist take. It's actually the opposite. If you even find out that it's a UCL, he's not going to have surgery till the end of the season, and he's going to hit, and he's still going to be great at the plate, and he's going to be awesome.
So, Aaron Judge will go back to right field. So you're not losing anything there in the field.
No.
I mean, so you're going to be fine. Verdugo will be in left field.
Verdugo, gone.
Right. I mean, you're going to be fine.
How
do
you
be
do?
Fine.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure they will be, and they'll reconfigure it and they'll figure it out. Or maybe it's absolutely nothing, and you don't have to worry about it.
3-game series, 100 and what do you think? 50,000 people.
Whatever the capacity is plus standing room,
Is it like 48 or 49,000.
It's going to be that. That place is going to be absolutely jammed. There's going to be standing room. There's going to be people outside in folding chairs. I mean, this is it, and the weather's going to be spectacular. As far as I know, I think it's supposed to be good all weekend long.
All good, very good.
Yeah, so this will be fun to watch. We were talking about the NBA for a second. There's something I meant to tell Jerry. Do you know, and to get this audio, do you know that there is a series on FX about Doc Rivers and Donald Sterling and the Clippers during that crazy time that was going on, where Lawrence Fishburne is playing Doc Rivers? Did you know this?
No.
There is a scene that I have to have Jerry get where Lawrence Fishburne as Doc Rivers is saying the most ridiculous stuff to his team that you'll start, I'm not going to oversell it, but you're going to start cracking up. And if the real Doc Rivers ever said this stuff to his team, I'd love to know. And then when you watch it, you got to see the actors that are playing. It could quite possibly be the worst thing that has ever been put on television as far as a sports Like, what was that terrible ESPN show where it was like they were doing like a locker room that was all messed up, and the guys were doing steroids and stuff.
Was that The Rock?
Oh, no. That was on HBO.
Players or something
Yes,
like that?
yeah. I think it was Players.
Okay.
So that was the worst thing I had seen sports-wise.
Hey, player.
It was something like
player.
This is just incredible. So much so that I want to watch the whole thing. 'Cause I don't think anybody's watching it just to get clips for the show.
Okay.
So that is something that popped.
Well,
in my mind.
maybe that was that's Doc Rivers. Maybe he does really say that stuff to his team.
No, he doesn't.
Are you sure?
You haven't heard it yet. There's no ways. If he's saying this stuff to his team, then those guys would beat the crap out of him.
I mean, somebody had to tell the writers of this particular show what was going on from a player's perspective. You would think you'd hire some players and some front office people from that mess.
Yeah.
And everybody would give their 2 cents, and then you go and write your story, and it's got to have some of the stuff has got to be accurate.
Yeah, I'm sure that it was not this bad. I'm sure he might have said a couple of the things, but they had to make it into a TV show. Playmakers was that show, by the way.
Oh,
on HBO.
Playmakers, okay.
It was where they'd go into the locker room at halftime and do steroids and coke and go back out there. It was like the worst show ever. This one has the potential to trump that. All right, a feel-good Summer Friday on the Fan and CBS Sports Network. It's Boomer and Gio. All right.